Hi everybody, it's Friday. Hope you're all excited for the weekend. This is our last literacy lesson of the week. As always, make sure you've got your pen, pencil, paper, whatever you use to write with, and we're going to start off with our Vocab Blast. We've got the same words that we learnt yesterday, so all you need to do is see if you can remember what those words are based on the pictures and the definitions. Are we ready? Let's go. So I've got a picture here of lots of different types of places. I've got a forest, I've got a desert, I've got the ocean, I've got mountains. The definition of this word is the natural home of a plant or an animal. So what are these places called? They are animals' habitat. Well done if you remembered that one. Our next word, I've got pictures of some horrible gases being pumped out into the environment. This word means something harmful or poisonous in the environment. Remember, it doesn't just have to be gases, it can be plastic cluttering our beaches and waters as well. What is this word? Something harmful or poisonous in the environment. We call that pollution. Fantastic here too. And our next one, we've got all of these people here who are illegally hunting animals. So these people and this dog, they're hunting animals illegally. We call that poaching. Fantastic. And our last one, a large area of countryside covered in grass, and that is exactly what the picture is of. This is called grassland. Brilliant. Great stuff here too. I can see you remembered those words really well. Now that we're okay with what they mean, we're going to use these words to complete the sentences. It's up to you what you do. You can pause the video and write the sentences out with the correct words, or you can listen to me and we'll talk through each sentence one at a time. Are we ready? Let's go. The gorilla's was destroyed. The gorilla's was destroyed. What was destroyed? Was it the gorilla's habitat, the gorilla's grassland, the gorilla's pollution, or the gorilla's poaching? What do you think? It's habitat. Fantastic if you got that one right. Grassland would fit there as well, but we should hopefully have remembered from yesterday that gorillas don't live in grassland, they live in forests. Next sentence. Rhinos live in, is it grassland, pollution, or poaching? Which one? It's grassland. Well done. Rhinos live in grassland. Next sentence. Levels in the air have risen over the years. Is it poaching levels in the air have risen over the years, or pollution levels in the air have risen over the years? Which one? Shout the word out. It's pollution. Fantastic. Make sure if you've written that sentence at home that you have remembered to put your capital letter. And that means that the last one is poaching. Unfortunately, poaching of animals occurs every day. And that is a fact, it does, unfortunately. Okay, I hope you've got your plans with you from yesterday. If you've not got them, you might want to pause the video really quickly and see if you can find it. You need to read through your plan. I want you to have a think. Have you written something in each section just like I have? When you're reading through, does your plan make sense? My animal is a turtle. My animal lives in the sea. The water is polluted with plastic and people are hunting them for their shells. This is all about a turtle. Mine makes sense. Does yours make sense? Read it through now and check it. Make sure you've got something in each of those parts of your plan. I have written my story here. We're going to read it through together with our Kung Fu punctuation. Are you ready? Once there was a turtle. Bang. They lived in the sea. Bang. They decided to go for a swim. Bang. They noticed the water was polluted with plastic and people were hunting them for their shell. Bang. Suddenly, they saw a boat. So they got in and sailed away. After a while, they met a snow leopard. Bang. Fantastic Kung Fu punctuation. I think everybody did a better job than me with that. Okay, we've read this through. And what I'm going to talk about is how I've used my plan to write my story and how I've used my sentence starters to help me and the word map to help me. Okay, so you need to make sure that you've got your best listening ears on because I might be asking you some questions. My first sentence is once there was a turtle. Can anybody think of, looking at what I've got on my screen to help me, why I have started with once? Why have I started with once? Where can you see that on the screen? Once. It's my first sentence starter. I have used once. And I've said, once there was a turtle. What is the first thing on my plan? It's introducing my character. My animal is a turtle. That's the first thing we always do in a story. We introduce our character. Once there was a turtle. So I've talked about that now. I've used my first sentence starter and I've introduced my character, the turtle. My next sentence starts, they lived. Why have I started my sentence with they lived? Fantastic. It's my next sentence starter. They lived in the sea. And that is my next box on my plan. So I've introduced my character, the turtle, and I've introduced my setting, the sea. They decided to go for a swim. Why have I written they decided? You might see that there's a pattern forming here. Why have I written they decided? Fantastic, because it is the next one on my sentence starters. They decided to go for a swim. Now I've missed this part and I've started to talk about this part. Okay, I've not talked about why my animal can't stay there anymore because we don't know yet that the animal can't stay there anymore, which is why I've said they decided to go for a swim. They noticed the water was polluted with plastic and people were hunting them for their shell. Why have I started with they noticed? Amazing, it's another one of my sentence starters. I'm using them to help me. They noticed the water was polluted with plastic and people were hunting them for their shell. I've talked about this part now. Whilst my animal was swimming, they noticed that the water was polluted. So that's why we're talking about this part now. Suddenly, they saw a boat, so they got in and sailed away. I have used suddenly because it's again on my sentence starters. And I've talked about what's left on my plan to talk about. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, and this. What is the last thing I've got to talk about? Fantastic, that last section on my plan. On my plan I've written, it finds a boat, he sails away in it, and he meets a snow leopard. So I have written, suddenly they saw a boat, so they got in and sailed away. I've written about that bit. And the last thing I need to do is talk about my snow leopard. So I've decided to use my last sentence starter because he didn't meet the snow leopard straight away. He met him after a while of sailing. After a while, they met a snow leopard. And I have used all of that information in my plan to write this story. I'm going to read it one last time and I want you to have a think. Do you like my story? I've used everything in my plan. I've used all of my sentence starters. I have checked that my words are all spelled correctly. And I've used not just one, but I've used 2 coordinating conjunctions. I think this is a pretty good story. What do you think? Once there was a turtle. They lived in the sea. They decided to go for a swim. They noticed the water was polluted with plastic, and people were hunting them for their shell. Suddenly, they saw a boat, so they got in and sailed away. After a while, they met a snow leopard. Give me a big thumbs up if you like my story. Give me a big thumbs down if you think, Miss Mannion, you can do a much better story than that. And give me a thumbs in the middle if you think, it's okay, you've included everything that you need to, but I think you can make it even better. Oh, I agree. Even though this story has got all of the things in it that I need, I could definitely make it more interesting. How do you think I could make it more interesting? I've read it a few times now. Think about what things I have said. Think about the things that I've included. Think about things that I might not have included. Have I got any adjectives? Have I got any adverbs? I've used coordinating conjunctions. Have I used them correctly? Could I use them better? And I want you to tell somebody in the room if you think I could make my story better and what I could do to make it better. Or maybe write a couple of ideas down. Fantastic. Now, what everybody is going to have today to help them with their piece of writing is this. Just like we have at school, we've got our success criteria, and I've also included a checklist and a list of ways to improve your story. So this is mine that I've been using whilst I've been writing, and I've ticked off the things that I've done. So I've introduced my character, I've introduced my setting, I've talked about my problem, which is about the water being polluted, so my animal has to leave, and I've used my plan to help me with my ideas. I have also read through my work to check that it makes sense, and it does. I've used my capital letters and full stops correctly, and I've used my phonics knowledge and my word mat to help me with my spelling. But we want to try to make my piece of writing better, so I've got a list of different things here that I can do to help make my writing better. Now, this list goes from easy things to change to harder things to change. Okay, so the first thing says, I have used pronouns she, he, and they instead of using my character's name all the time, because if we use he, she, and they all the time, if we use our character's name all the time, it's going to make our writing really boring. So let's see if that's something that I've done. So that's the first thing I've done. I've read it, I've read this thing on my checklist, and now I'm going to check to see if I've done it so that I can see if I can tick it off or maybe I need to change it. So we're looking for pronouns, okay? Pronouns. Once there was a turtle. So that's my character's name. That's the first time I've used his name. Once there was a turtle. They lived in the sea. There's my pronoun. They decided to go for a swim. They noticed the water was polluted with plastic and people were hunting them for their shell. Suddenly, they saw a boat, so they got in and sailed away. After a while, they met a snow leopard. What do you think I'm thinking? I've read that word so many times. I'm looking at the amount of times I've used the word they. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've used the word they 6 times in this piece of writing. And even though I have done this and I can tick it off, I think I've maybe done it too many times. I've used too many pronouns. So I think to make my writing better, I could change a few of my theys to turtle instead, my character's name. I'm going to do that now. Now, as you can see, I have started to edit my work to make it better. I have changed some of my theys to the turtle, so that meaning isn't lost. I don't want to forget who my character is or what they're doing. So sometimes it's important to use his name again instead of just using a pronoun instead. So I've just put a few extra ones in there. Now I'm going to have a look and see what else I can do to make my writing better. I have used adjectives to describe my character, the setting, or other objects in the story. Let's see if I have done that. You're going to be looking for adjectives. Okay, we're looking for adjectives. I'm going to underline them if we spot any. Once there was a turtle. Well, I've got a noun there, turtle, but I've not described him, so I've not got any adjectives yet. They lived in the sea. They decided to go for a swim. The turtle noticed the water was polluted with plastic and people were hunting them for their shell. Suddenly, they saw a boat, so they got in and sailed away. After a while, the turtle met a snow leopard. Oh my goodness! I have not found any adjectives in that piece of writing. How boring. I'm going to have to see if I can put some in somewhere. Do you think you can help me? Thank you so much. I'm going to underline a few of those nouns, and I want you to write some adjectives that I could use to describe that noun. So I'm going to go with turtle. I'm going to go with sea. And I'm going to go with shell. I've just chosen 3. So on your little piece of paper that you've got in front of you, write some descriptions for turtle, sea and shell. Once there was a green turtle. They lived in the beautiful blue sea. People were hunting them for their shiny, hard shell. I have chosen lots of different adjectives there to describe those 3 things. Write some down now. Fantastic, well done everybody. So I'm going to read it again now that I've added some of those fantastic adjectives in my work. Once there was a beautiful green turtle. They lived in the huge sea. They decided to go for a swim. The turtle noticed the water was polluted with plastic and people were hunting them for their shiny shell. Suddenly they saw a boat, so they got in and sailed away. After a while, the turtle met a snow leopard. I think this is starting to sound like a much better piece of writing. What do you think? So now I can give myself a tick to say that I've added adjectives. There are lots of other ways that I could change my piece of writing, and they've got a list of them all here. One of them that I would be thinking about is I have started my sentences in different ways because I think I've started a lot of my sentences with they or the turtle. So that might be something else that I could think about. Thank you so much for your help with my piece of writing. I'm going to show you what you're going to be doing now. This is a template that you can use for your writing. So when you've written your story, it's up to you don't have to, but you could write it on a piece of paper or you could write it on this template. So I've got a front cover here, I've got a big box for a picture, just like on the journey home. You might want to draw your own picture with your own animal going on its adventure. And it says underneath, bye, and then you need to write your name there. There's also boxes on the other pages for pictures that you could draw as you go along. And on the lines, you just need to do your writing for your story. So you can use that, if you'd like to write your story on. And this is on the website on the home learning section. Now, if you usually do the 1-star challenge, you can use this to help you make your piece of writing. That doesn't mean you do this and then you're done. That means you can do this and then you can write it up on here so that it looks absolutely amazing, like a real book. Okay? So, on the 1-star challenge, you have got these word mats to help you. Once there was a, and then you need to choose your animal. Look at your plan. Use the same animal from your plan. It wouldn't be very clever to use something different from our plan, would it? We've done all the hard work already. We've done an amazing plan. So now we need to use our plan to help us with this bit. So once there was a animal, and you can have a look here. You see how it says animal, and then it's got all the different animals that you could have chosen. On your plan, you might have chosen a rhino. So cut out the rhino and stick it on there. If you can't cut them out because you don't have a printer, that's okay. Just cross out animal and write rhino. Once there was a rhino, that is your first sentence. So you need to remember your capital letters and your full stops. They lived in the habitat. So you need to look at the habitat section and decide where that animal lived. You should already know where that animal lived because it's written on your plan. Oops. So my animal was a turtle, so I've stuck that there. They lived in the sea, so I've stuck that over the top. But it was not safe anymore, so they went for what did they go for? A walk or a swim? Look at your plan, what did you decide? Then you stick that on there, that is your next sentence. When you finish that, you should have 4 sentences that you can then write onto this beautiful template and draw a front cover for it and draw some pictures to go along with it. If you usually do the 2-star challenge, you've got this to help you. Once there was a what? Just just like we usually do in school, circle the one that you are using and then write that word. So once there was a turtle, and then I write the word turtle. They lived in the sea. I've circled it, I'm going to write it down. Now, if you want to, you can fill this out first. You will find this on the school website as well. So do this first, using your plan to help you, and then you can write it up on this nice template. And then last, we've got our 3-star challenge. Now, our 3-star challenge, you've got your word mat and you've got the sentence starters to help you. It's up to you how you want to do this. If you're thinking, I want my template to have the best piece of work I could possibly do, then you might want to write it first, check that you're happy with it, and then write it up in your neatest handwriting onto the template. But that's up to you. Okay? And just like I did in my story, I'm going to use the sentence starters to help me. So my first sentence might start with once. My next one might start with they lived. You don't have to use these though, they are just there to help you. Okay? You can start those sentences however you want. And when you've written it, quite a few of these sentences start with they. Well, I might not want to do that. I might want to change those sentences so that they start in a different way. And for everybody, I have got this, your success criteria and your checklist, and also a list of ways to improve the opening of your story. And I am so excited to see what your stories are like when you send them into the class email. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you all on Monday. Bye.